We had one for
He's the police officer from Houston.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
The meeting is called to order for the Texas Advisory Board under the TDLR. Welcome, everybody. We're happy you're here, and we'll proceed with the agenda and look forward to a very helpful, productive meeting. So let me call roll, and we'll do so calling the members, namely Russell Rust.
Present.
Susan Sparks.
Here.
Paul Stone.
Here.
Karen Vasquez. Karen had said she couldn't make it today. She has a migraine.
Oh.
Carolyn Guerin.
Here.
Carol Willis.
Here.
Antonio Gracia.
Here.
And that is, and me, I'm David Lauterston. Hi. Okay. So we have the minutes to be approved. And where are they? Right in here? Okay, great. Let me ask if you've all had a chance to look at the minutes, summary of the minutes.
Russell
And,
Rust, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Very simple, thank you.
Okay.
That consider them approved. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
we could take a vote on
Take a
that?
vote.
Take a vote, yes.
All in favor?
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All in favor of the approval of the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, registered that all have voted in favor and no one opposed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
By the way, welcome to the esteemed members of TDLR who are here. Boy, they've been really helpful. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so the first thing on the agenda is to have public comments, and we've received about 7 requests for public comment. And just as an orientation, normally they're kept to 3 minutes. We've had one person who requested 5, and so as a compromise, we're going to allow everybody up to 4 minutes. If you want to keep them shorter, that's fine. Brevity is the soul of wit. On the other hand, we're going to allow everybody 4 minutes, and we're excited to hear from you. Just to remind everybody, when we get comments, these are not the only things that we do on the part of the board is ask for clarifying questions if we have some questions, but we don't debate or discuss the comment, just so you know. But we'll be happy to take the comments. And so, just calling in the order, I'm seeing them here. I'd like to ask Nicole Cossack, is it pronounced?
There's 2,000.
Cossack. Cossack, yeah. Nicole, come on up.
Yeah, I take this.
I'll see. Tam's lost her voice a little bit. Mr. Chairman, Tam was asking if we could take Nicole last because she has some handouts that she'd like to provide to the, well, here they come. It's perfect timing.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't worry, Rhonda, you're not on real audio. I guess you are. I am. I guess the whole world's seeing it
And
live.
just so you know, Tamala is the timekeeper. She'll hold up a card just to give
Okay,
an
she's
indication.
out of the corner of my eye. I
That's
tried to
right.
practice this. It took 9 minutes, but
Congratulations.
that's
Oh.
why I brought you papers.
All right.
Let me know when we're starting, and I'll introduce myself with my proper name.
Get ready, get set, go.
Okay. Hi, I'm Nicole Cossack. I'm a licensed massage therapist and a licensed massage therapy instructor and a CE provider. I have a couple of things I want to discuss. First, since we're limited on time, I'm just going to present the questions that I have. The evidence I have behind it that would be helpful to the board and TDLR is all written out on these handouts for you all. One of the questions is, what is the board and TDLR going to do about an uneven representation of individual instructors without a school license, addressing the letter of the law while promoting the internal standards as important as mandatory standards? The second thing that I'd like to address is the internet. What is TDLR and the board proposing to do, if anything, about the internet and criminal activity that has been known to outwit and flourish under false and unethical claims? How and what plan is in place to prevent exploitation and preserve the integrity of the profession? Examples: internet stalking, identity theft, false claims, hostile and disruptive malice by individuals attacking students, instructors, businesses, schools. It goes on to go into regulation and enforcement, marketing ethics, marketing law, and related subjects, such as anti-competitive practices. As far as the instructor's license go, I'm concerned about a safety net for those of us that have worked really hard at that, being able to instruct students on a smaller level, because evidence shows that sometimes on a smaller level, people learn better. I've had stay-at-home moms come to me that can't go to one of the schools I work for, and they can't get that far. And they're more than willing to finish or to do the school, but around the standards of their home lives and their schedules, including young people that are going off to college, and they only have the summer, but they want to be prepared to work a good job versus as a cocktail waitress, and are going into things like working with animals. And this would just make them better veterinarians later because they'd have palpable skills. So I'm looking to find out what's the safety net for us that have done this for a while. I understand we have to meet the hours, and that's fine. But the one-on-one, the smaller groups where I could work individually with students as well, where's our safety net? The instructor's license means a person who instructs a student in any section of the course of instruction required for a massage therapist license. However, as we go through the rules, it's stating further, in the past, I haven't looked at it to see what's rectified, but it was stating further that you needed a CE to present other things, and almost as if you had to pay the school fees in order to move forward and be able to instruct maybe 3 or 4 or 5 people. So just an individual MIT without a school license isn't really represented by the board right now, and I wanted to see what can be rectified about that. And where are we in these laws? Is there waivers? Is there permission slips? Is there a quick way to handle this so that I know that I'm in the bounds of the law if I were to take one of these students? All right. I will let you read the papers, and I will speak with TDLR afterwards, but these were concerns along with the internet. I see people out there advertising massage under pretenses that it should not be advertised, as well as, you know, people having their personal lives invaded and then put out there like they can't be a therapist. That's not appropriate. And I think that you might have the power to be able to stop things like that. So I'm hopeful that some of this information will help you do that and help everybody progress. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'd like to call up Raul Flores.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh?
You can come over here.
Over here.
All right, I'd like to call up Alex Matthews. Hello, Mr. Matthews.
How y'all doing?
Good, how are you?
Kind of odd to sit here and see an advisory board for massage, but it's kind of a pleasure.
I feel nervous myself.
My name is Alex Matthews. I'm a licensed massage therapy instructor, massage therapist. I'm also an establishment owner, and I teach at one of the local schools here in Austin. I've got 2 points that I would like to make. One of the points is kind of dogmatic history of massage therapy in the state of Texas. When we originally got licensed in 1985, the curriculum was 250 hours, required 150 hours of Swedish massage. 2 years later, they added internship, which brought us to 300 hours, and it stayed that way up until 2005 when we moved to 500 hours. The profession is no longer 1985. The curriculum outline, I think, is in error based on reading the rule or the law. The law in the state of Texas defines a massage therapist as a person who administers massage therapy. When you read the definition of the massage therapy, it defines it as the manipulation of soft tissue. In one place, it does add in the term Swedish gymnastics, but it not define it as Swedish massage. The curriculum that we currently have in Unit 2, in Section 6, the third competency makes the only reference to Swedish massage. A student must define Swedish massage. That's the only reference that you'll find in the state curriculum. Otherwise, it's outlined as the history of massage products, client preparation and draping, effects and benefits of massage therapy, contraindications of massage therapy. The sixth section is actually the overview of massage therapy techniques. It still does not define it as Swedish massage. I would ask that the board, the advisory board, and TDLR look at the rule, look at the law, and look at the history. And it would better serve massage therapy to be defined as simply 200 hours of technique of soft tissue manipulation taught by an instructor at a school. This history has created multiple problems in multiple layers over the years. Many times people will say, oh, I don't do Swedish massage, I do neuromuscular therapy, and they're asking for exemption from licensure. I don't do this form of massage, I don't do Swedish massage. That's been the history for years. Again, when you look at the law, and the law defines it that they must, it is in the law that they have to take 125 hours of Swedish massage therapy technique. But when you look at the curriculum outline that's been there, I believe since 1997, it really doesn't define itself as Swedish massage therapy. The techniques of effleurage, petrissage, friction, vibration, and tapotement could even be defined as tuinat, which is an Asian form of massage, or amana. So it seems to be an error, or we've gotten stuck in this dogmatic thing of Swedish massage that was brought in 1985, and nobody wants to move Texas off into the future and get us moving into a place that puts it more definable as a scope of practice of manipulation of soft tissue and not one specific technique. It's holding the profession back, it's holding the schools back, it's holding regulations back. It doesn't define us as what we are as a profession. The second point I want to make is to the internship for massage therapy. Currently, students have to complete at least 40 hours of hands-on work or a 50-hour internship. Current rule defines that a student internship must be done in a school on the school property. However, the law says may be conducted on school grounds or in a clinic or classroom. I would like to see the internship opened up to where students could actually work in an externship, however it may be proctored, however they decide it may be proctored. As teaching in a school program, I believe I'm falling short. I put the students in this mythical internship, and I'm supposed to teach them what the professions are like and how to make the choices of where they want to go. Oop, and my time is up.
Well,
Thank you for your time.
thank you very, very much, Alex. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, Colette Lane, welcome up.
It'll take me just a moment. Don't start the clock yet.
Okay.
Please.
Tam's quick with that button. You got to watch her.
Okay, I'll do my best to consolidate into 4 minutes. I've timed myself several times, and I'm right at 5. But here we go.
Ready.
Hello, my name's Colette Lane. I've been working as a licensed massage therapist for over 8 years. I originally got licensed in 2007. I'm here today to speak to you about licensing versus certification for massage professionals. A license is involuntary, certification is voluntary. Incidentally, do lawyers need a license to practice law? In a recent article published by the Wall Street Journal titled "Licenses Kill Opportunity," a new study shows that licenses block upward mobility. Quote, nationwide, licensing drives up prices by as much as $203 billion annually. Quote, the cost and time to obtain a license is no accident. As professional guild members sit on state licensing boards and reinforce the racket, they want to limit competition to keep prices high. I'm not accusing this board of running a racket. However, it has occurred to me if this board will serve the interests of massage therapists or other interests. I believe there are 4 private school owners on the board. Still quoting from the Wall Street Journal article, licensing proponents claim they're merely protecting the public health, but the Institute for Justice found that on average, tree trimmers undergo 16 times more training than emergency medical technicians. Licensing proponents who tout the license protects the public. Did the massage therapy license protect the numerous victims of the recent massage envy sexual assaults? Who is being protected with the massage therapy license or the massage establishment license? The public isn't necessarily protected from sexual predators guised as massage professionals. To my knowledge, sexual assault is a crime regardless if a person has a license or not. Does the license differentiate between sexual prostitution businesses and massage therapy for health purposes? Licensing creates barriers. Just ask the local massage professionals, local meaning Texas, who have graduated from massage therapy programs but who cannot pass the Emblex. Currently, the Emblex is the only state licensing exam offered in Texas. The Emblex tests for body work. There is a legal difference between massage therapy and body work. Why are we asking Texas massage therapists to take a body work examination to get licensed as a massage therapist? What about certification? Black's Law Dictionary 8th edition defines, and I'm going to paraphrase here, certification as a document in which a fact is formally attested or a document certifying the bearer's status or authorization to act in a specified way. Using California's Massage Therapy Council as an example, California Massage Therapy Council's mission is to protect the public by certifying massage professionals in California that meet the requirements in law and approving massage programs that meet the minimum standards for training and curriculum. The California Massage Therapy Council was created by California legislature through the enactment of Senate Bill 731. Its volunteer boards of directors is appointed by California cities, counties, law enforcement, massage schools, Department of Consumer Affairs, professional massage associations, etc. How was this advisory board appointed? The California Massage Therapy Council issues voluntary certifications to massage professionals that meet the requirements in law. Certification is voluntary, and CAMTC certification is not required by state law in order for massage professionals to practice their profession in the state. Incidentally, in California, they allow four different licensing exams to become certified. To recap, why is it necessary to license massage therapists? Certification attests to a person's competency level, places onus back on the public to make an informed decision when choosing a massage therapist, allows for location portability, social mobility, and economic liberty without unnecessary government intrusion. Thank you for the opportunity to speak publicly.
Thank you. Thank you, Colette.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Right?
All right. Okay. I'd like to call up Laura Embleton. Hello, Laura.
Hello, I'm Laura Embleton. I'm the National Government Relations Director for Associated Bodywork and Massage Professionals, and we have, I think, over 6,400 members here in Texas. And I know it's the legislative season, so I'm doing more of that than this, but I like to visit state boards just to check in and say hi. And I appreciate the work that you all do, that TLDR does, in getting information out to their members when the rules change or with the whole switch over to this. It's way better than the majority of the other states out there, so I appreciate it. Thank you. And let us know if we can be a service to you guys if you need information on what's going on in other states or whatever. We're here to help, and so thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks so much for coming.
Yeah.
All right. Let me call up David Sproles, please.
May I have that little sheet?
The little sheet. Oh. Yeah. There you go. All right.
Just state our name.
Go right ahead.
Okay. I'm David Sproles, and I'm a licensed massage therapist with my own business. I also represent AMTA Waco Unit and the Central Texas Massage Therapy Association in Waco, as well as an instructor for school. So my question is the continuing education online courses that we have for CEUs. They teach techniques of massage, which according to the rules and regulations are not to be taught, but yet these are approved by the CEU providers. So they're getting approved even though the law says that they're not supposed to teach it. So there's a contradiction there, and I think that needs clarification, or I would like to have further input on the editing of that law. And that's it. That's all I have.
All right, good point. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'd like to call up Ivy Lee. Is that right? L-E?
She left.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I'd like to call up Jason Bratcher. Hi, Jason.
Hello. God, I feel like I'm in front of a congressional hearing.
You've never been a member of the...
No, sir. I refuse to answer that question. I plead the fifth.
Okay.
Hi, distinguished board members and everybody here. My name is Jason Bratcher. I am a licensed massage therapist. I'm also a massage therapy instructor, and I'm also a Texas CE provider. So I'm not going to speak to a lot of what else has been brought to you today. For me, it's just a question of and a statement of convenience and hopefully common sense for the rest of us out there who do have to apply for licenses and also license renewal. As a licensed massage, and I also speak, hopefully I'm going to speak for most of the Texas CE providers out there, which there seems to be a lot of us. So in order to be a Texas CE provider, we also have to have a massage therapy instructor license in addition to our coveted massage therapist license as well. I will have to renew my instructor license by the end of April. And hopefully with the transition from Texas Department of Health to TDLR, I know there's been some bugs lately. I've been reading on the blogs, on Facebook and everything, that people are having a hard time renewing and in a timely fashion. So hopefully those bugs will get worked out. What I'm proposing, and my concern is that I have to renew 3 separate times to keep all of my licenses current. So why not, as a Texas CE provider, I'm not speaking for just instructors and for licensed massage therapists, but as a Texas CE provider, I would find it more convenient to combine the licenses together so that I can renew maybe one time in the amount of time that it's designated for me to renew my license. Every couple of years, I think. I'll have to renew my CE provider's license in January of 2019 and also my LMT license in June of 2019. It would be so nice to have those combined, or at least the instructor and the CE provider license combined, and maybe the fees reduced a little bit for the renewal so that it makes it a little bit more convenient for me and also the rest of us who are CE providers out there who have small businesses. Okay. That's it.
Thank you very much, Jason. Great. Okay. Raul Flores, please. Thank you. Raul Flores, hello.
How you doing?
Okay.
Members of the board and TDLR representatives, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm going to condense what I have in writing because no matter how fast I read, I'm not going to get it done in 4 minutes. So I want to start with the Texas Constitution. This has, the Constitution has something to say about barriers for occupational freedom that are absurd or have less to do with fencing out incompetence than with fencing in incumbents. As Nobel economist Milton Friedman observed, the justification for licensing and its requirements is always to protect the public. But the reason for licensing, and its often onerous requirements, is shown by observing who pushes for it. Those representing not consumers, but vested, already licensed practitioners. Therefore, I'm speaking primarily to the Emblex requirement. The conversation about the Emblex needs to turn to action immediately. The acronym Emblex stands for Massage and Bodywork Licensing Exam. By requiring the Emblex for someone wishing to become a massage therapist in Texas, the state is attempting to shoehorn two unlike professions into a single identical mold by treating those wishing to become massage therapists who, according to most body workers and according to the DSHS Statement of Implementation of House Bill 2644, are very different than body workers. Here's an excerpt from that statement. DSHS took into account the comments received from stakeholders during the 4 months following the legislative session. Those individual practitioners of such affected practices as Reiki, Traeger, reflexology, Rolfing, and Asian bodywork therapy have generally supported the creation of a program specific to their own techniques and educational requirements. Most callers opposed a requirement that they obtain a massage therapy license, which conflicts with their techniques, educational requirements, and underlying philosophy. I couldn't agree more. Why then are massage therapy candidates required to take an examination which includes what clearly has been distinguished as a different discipline altogether, or multiple disciplines in that regard? The Emblex has been and continues to be inappropriate and is an onerous licensing requirement for those seeking a massage therapist license because, if for no other reason, the bodywork component. This component is problematic for 3 reasons. 1, massage and bodywork are clearly 2 different disciplines. 2, schools in Texas are required to teach a curriculum based on the content outlined in the Occupations Code, which does not include any mention of bodywork. And number 3, neither the state nor schools have any knowledge of or control over the content of the Emblex. And we discussed at the last meeting the net result of such an examination and such a requirement. So the Texas Supreme Court has something to say about this type of scenario. Government is free to mandate requirements appropriate to the calling or profession, but not those that have no relation to such a calling or profession. Why? Because that would deprive one of his right to pursue a lawful vocation. Moreover, the court observed that stiffer occupational regulations rarely originate with consumer or consumer advocacy groups. Rather, they are pushed by entrenched industry members to secure less competition. The Emblex requirement is a perfect illustration of this type of activity. The average layperson doesn't even know about any examination requirements for a massage therapist, much less the Emblex or any purported public safety benefit it proclaims. This alleged reported benefit claim comes only from the FSMTB, the owner and author of the Emblex. And many people in this room know the FSMTB is very proactive with promoting and protecting its holy grail, the Emblex. Prior to 2008, this exam didn't even exist. And it certainly had no track record of meeting any public protection benefit, and currently there was 0 empirical evidence that it remotely meets that claim of providing public protection. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward here because I know my time is short. If anyone recognizes some of the language I've used today, it's because it is from a very recent Texas Supreme Court, case law, and it serves as a precedent to any actions a government agency takes in the course of occupational regulation. This is my formal and public demand for the immediate development and implementation of a state exam for massage therapy candidates. Almost 10,000 otherwise well-qualified massage therapy candidates have been unable to pass the Emblex, and they are anxiously awaiting the opportunity to take and pass an exam that is relevant to and appropriate for massage therapy. Their livelihoods and the livelihoods of thousands in the future rely on this action being taken immediately. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That constitutes the time we have and the number of people we have for public comment, unless Ms. Lee has returned. Okay. Well, thank you all so much. Let's go on to the next part, which is the staff reports. And so the first report I'd like to call for is from the licensing division. Thank you. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Excuse me. Good afternoon, Chairman Lauterstein and advisory board members. I'm Joyce Huntington, manager in the licensing division. First of all, let's look at some numbers. You guys have my statistical report, and I just want to do a little comparison from the last report. The last report I gave you guys was on last statistical report that I gave you guys was on December the 7th. At that time, we had issued 170 massage therapist new licenses. My current report states that we have issued 458 new licenses. We issued 181 renewed licenses on my last report, and this report, 2,918 renewed licenses. Total population for massage therapists was 3,352 on my last report. It's now, did I say 2,000? 30,352. It's now 30,775. Okay, for the massage therapy instructor, last time we had issued 19 new licenses. This time, 46. Renewed licenses issued as of December 7 was 5. This time, currently 90. Total population in December, 1,316. Total population now, 1,353. Last but not least, massage establishments. New licenses issued in December was 56. New licenses issued currently 202. Renewed license issued in December, up through December 7, renewed licenses issued 114. Total population for establishments, 1,666. That was in December. Total population now is 1,800. So I think we're on a good roll, and we're steadily picking up speed. Okay, let's move to some changes we've been making. First of all, we've been working on revising and getting a better process to accommodate our customers and for TDLR. For the massage therapists, one of the changes we've made on the forms, and I'm not sure, I may have mentioned this last time, but I'll mention it again. We're not asking for proof of a Social Security number anymore, all physical proof. The question is asked on the application, yes or no, and you will provide the number on the application. For the instructor, you no longer have to submit physical proof of a high school diploma, no longer required to present a written letter for the 500 hours of hands-on experience. Both questions are asked on the application now. So for an instructor, you would need to submit you would need to submit initial application and proof of 30-hour course on teaching adult learners. Massage establishment. We no longer need to submit fire inspections, list of massage therapists working at the establishment, or the floor plan. We only need the app and fee. We also run a DPS check, Department of Public Safety background check on all initial applicants and all renewals. And also the background reviews are also done on owners of the establishments now. If a applicant was previously licensed and say the license expired, they've been gone 3, 4, 5 years, well, we no longer ask them to submit a transcript again, but they will be required to take the exam. And another important process that we're trying to work out is the transcripts, Mr. Russ. Okay, Yvonne Feinlib is working on a transcript evaluation form for the licensing division. And with this form, the schools will be required to fill out this transcript form. And the student would submit that form with their application to us. Okay, another change. The agency just did a recalibration, which will be effective March 1st. And during that calibration, sadly, I will not be working with you guys anymore. Yeah, I'm going to miss you
Not
guys. I
okay.
feel like I made friends already.
You're making a big mistake.
But she's still employed here.
Yeah, I'm still employed, but I won't be doing
Let's go on the
the
record
same.
with that now. She's still here.
Yeah, and I feel like I've gotten to know some of you guys really well, and I'm going to miss you guys. But the new person would be Chloe Whalen. She will be the new manager. I would have brought Chloe with me today, but Chloe's on vacation. I tried to bring you guys a business card so you would have her phone number. She hid them from me. No, I couldn't find it. So anyway, before you leave today, I'll make sure all you guys have Chloe's information. In the meantime, you guys all have my number. If you can't get in touch with Chloe or with anybody that you need to get in touch with at TDLR, just give me a call. I'll find them for you.
Thanks, Joyce.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that concludes my report. Any questions?
Any questions? Good job. Thank you so much.
They brought the policemen because they knew when they took me away, I was going to be kicking and screaming.
I don't know. He looks friendly.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, great. Let us hear now from the Customer Service Division. Thank you.
Good afternoon, board members. Thank you for being here today. It's good to see some of you again from the summit and some of you for the first time. So for the folks who haven't met me, I am Trey Seals, and I'm the director of the Customer Service Division. And I'm going to do an introduction today because this is something new. Customer service has been here all along, but we weren't always on the advisory board agenda. So from beginning of the year, the calendar year, we decided it was time. So I am here. I've also brought one of my managers who works with the massage program. His name is Tuan Nguyen. He's over in the far corner there, and he will be reporting for the division from time to time when our schedules conflict and I can't be here. So we are a team of 54 dedicated individuals in the customer service division, and we work really hard. We're passionate about service. We're passionate about finding solutions and reducing customer effort. We do that through answering phone calls for the agency, responding to emails. We respond to social media posts from Facebook and Twitter. We also assist walk-ins at our front desk. We take approximately 2,000 calls per day, and we had over 500,000 contacts in the last fiscal year. And that represents quite a bit of work for our team. And so,
I'm sorry, Mr. Seals, how many contacts did you have?
over 500,000 contacts
Okay. All right.
this last year. So, and that was prior to the addition of the latest group of programs. So we are looking at every strategy and technique to handle those increased volumes of contacts. A little bit more about my team. I'm really proud of our team. We've been through a lot of change and a lot of growth. Recently, we've hired to meet some of that growth. We have several languages that we offer our customer service in. So we do have folks, of course, speak English and Spanish and Vietnamese, but we also have Chinese, Korean, and as of Thursday, we will have someone who speaks Thai. So we are on the 6th floor at the headquarters at the EOT building downtown, and we also have a strong group who work from home. So we're very innovative and looking for ways to get as many people in place to handle those contacts as possible. Just a little bit of history, and I'm going to repeat a little bit of this from the last time, but we started out 2005. I came to the agency from the Cosmetology Commission. So I went through a process where my agency was going to go away, and we were being moved over to the Department of Licensing and Regulation. Best decision I made to come over here. I knew that as soon as I met Brian that I wanted to be a part of this team, and that I've never looked back. And so I started out from TCC. I came over, I believe I was a program supervisor at the time. So we brought over the Cosmetology Commission, which was a big group for the agency that year with over 250,000 licensees. And I knew the program, so I came in hit the ground running and helped out and have been doing that the best I can to help us continue with the growth that we've seen over the years. So just to talk about the statistics for one moment, for the report that you currently should have, you notice that we have over 2,000 contacts from the industry each month. And we just started in November, so that's a pretty good, off to a running start there. And that most of our months, it looks like there's a pretty good balance between email and phone calls. So we do notice that this industry does use email, and we love that because that gives us a little bit of a chance to try to keep up with those inquiries that come in through our email. We also notice that we received several walk-in customers from the industry as well. So we enjoy seeing customers face to face. That's part of one of the benefits of what we do. That concludes my report today. I'm happy to entertain any questions you may have. It's good to see you.
All right. Good.
Mr. Chairman, if I could ask Trey some questions.
Sure.
Is there a better time to call your group than not?
Yes. So Monday is our busiest day. And so we are open. It's been several years now, but we expanded our operating hours to allow customers to have a better access to us. We are open at 7 a.m. and we close at 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Early mornings are a really good time to reach us, any time Tuesday through Friday. Again, Mondays are a busier time. And any time after a holiday, especially a Monday holiday, it doesn't mean fewer contacts that week. It just means they get compressed into fewer number of days. So certainly early mornings, and then towards the latter part of the evening before 6 is another good time to get through to us.
Brian Francis, Trey, are there any things that your staff has been doing recently to try to address the rise in emails and the communication with
Yes,
the
sir.
massage industry?
Yes, sir. So we have done specialization for about 1.5 years now. Prior to 2 years ago, we all answered every program. We knew every, the entry or the beginning information for each statute. And after the number that we're currently at, our folks were just like, we can't keep up. So we broke out into 5 teams. And with the addition of the new programs and this last 1.5 years, we realized that particular configuration was no longer going to work. So we reconfigured our team. We implemented a knowledge base that we're quickly building knowledge base articles in. And it feels like we're coming full circle so that more folks can answer more questions across most of the programs. There's still some specialization in there, but we wanted to make sure we evenly distribute the work amongst the team that we have. So it's one of the strategies of several that, like I said, we are looking at everything that we can do to make sure we achieve and meet the levels and expectations that you have and that we have of ourselves.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good work. All right. I'd like to invite up the Education and Examination Division. Mr. Pizarro, good to see you.
Good to see you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Ray Pizarro, Director for the Education Examination Division. As you'll see in your report, we don't have numbers available for the exams taken. We're working with Embleton to provide us some certain type of reporting so we can provide you better numbers on that. And my staff is working on that at this time. We have, as you see, we've administered over 530 JP exams, jurisprudence exams. We have done some new initial inspections on schools, on 2 new schools, and one of them was a change of location. We have those procedures already in place to doing those inspections for those schools. With that said, you've heard previous presenters talk about the calibration. We also, that calibration transpired through the entire agency, and we made changes so that we can position our resources where we need them. We just can't freely continue to hire a bunch of folks because, frankly, we don't have the capacity to hire excess full-time employees. so we utilize our employees where we need them. And at this point, it was this, we made a decision to take the inspectors that do the inspection portion for schools only to move them to the field inspection division. So you'll see that, and Tanya will talk a little bit more about that later. But that's what's happening, and I'm going to be getting some different positions so that we can focus more on things that would impact you guys as, let's say, the curriculum, the exams, CE issues. Let's sit down and focus our time on the work group so that we can make some changes and improvements there. So you'll see that to be on the horizon. With that said, like I said, we're going to start scheduling some work group meetings. I want to touch a little bit on online CE. You heard some commenters touched a little bit on that. I want to talk about the exams. I want to talk a little bit about continuing education in general, the curriculum. So we'll send out some proposed dates, and we'll kind of give you some syllabus of an agenda. But we'll be the facilitator and try to keep everyone in focus. We may tackle some of these at different times, or we may sit down as an initial team and decide these are the things we want to discuss. Let's talk a bit about this, and then in our next meeting we could be a little bit more productive on where we're going, because we do have a lot of things we need to touch on, and I want to spend enough time on each one of these to see where we can make changes or improvements. So, but keep in mind, we're always working with statute, so there may be some things that we all want to say, hey, let's make these changes, but at the moment we cannot. So I'd rather not spend too much time on the things we can't change and leave that to legislation, but let's work on some of the stuff we can improve by rule, and Colleen will be able to help us create those draft rules when that comes. That's all I have for you guys right now. If you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them.
Russell Rust, I have one question, please.
Yes.
Does that mean you formally joined the Federation in order to get those statistics from them?
We currently have this relationship because we're sending over eligibilities, and there's certain requirements that they need to have for those folks to test, and some folks who have applied may not have an updated transcript, for example, and we can't get those eligibilities over. We're trying to get a more consistent methodology on how we're exchanging information from TDLR to Emblex and vice versa. So Fanny Pringle is working with them from my staff to try to make those, either we get a better reporting or we're trying to work with them, in other words, to get more.
But the one question, have we joined the Federation? Yes or no?
I can answer that, Brian Francis. They extended us free membership this first go around because they want Texas to play in it. So we're definitely going to be a part of it and are a part of it. And I'll touch on a little bit of that going forward. I know that there's a few people, I can't remember if the number is X or Y, that has certain feelings about Emblex, but I think that's a pretty important issue on the table for everyone. So I'll touch on that a little bit. And we are getting the data we need. We're just trying to get in the format that we want it in.
Right. We have a chair at the table.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ray. Good job.
Thank you. Okay. Enjoy hearing from the Enforcement Division.
Chairman, board members, my name is Chris Vandenberg. I'm a prosecutor with the Enforcement Division. I'll be presenting our report today. I don't know if you had a chance to look at our report, but as you can see, the Enforcement Division wears a number of hats. We're engaged with, we're engaged in the administrative rulemaking proceedings. We're providing continuous education to our licensees, and primarily through the efforts of Chris Rossi, we're engaging in statewide outreach programs to help coordinate our efforts with law enforcement so that we can coordinate our activities and their police actions. But while these outward-focused, dialogue-oriented activities are vital components of enforcement's role in TDLR, I think it's more accurate to say that our role is reactive. And by that I mean most enforcement actions, whether that action is an inspection or investigation or a prosecution, is a response to an event that's already occurred, and specifically that event is allegations that a respondent has committed violations of our laws and rules. So to resolve these allegations, we open cases, a lot of cases. So it's not surprising that at our advisory board meetings, our reports focus on statistics that are derived from these cases: how many cases were opened, how many cases were closed, how they were resolved, and the types of violations that were alleged. After a program's been up and running for some time, these statistics start to coalesce into trends, and once these trends are identified, they can produce information that can be crucial to advisory boards as they, in their efforts to guide their profession to its best possible future. But these trends need time to develop, and the massage program began generating enforcement cases just in September 2017. All of this has been a long way of saying I don't really have a whole lot of information for you. So now,
thank you very much.
I could leave it at that mode.
No,
okay. Now, given the massage therapy program size and the amount of activity that it's already generated, I suspect you'll be seeing actionable intelligence soon. But rather than have this presentation just end, now seems like a good time to briefly discuss the role of enforcement, some of its processes, and specifically how those processes play out in the massage therapy program. Fortunately for you, I've already tried explaining everything that enforcement does to other advisory boards, so I know it doesn't work. I ended up sounding like an auctioneer. The board members looked like someone opened a mail bomb in front of them. It was just a mess. And that mess is now, thanks to cameras, has been immortalized on the internet, along with my now what I can see is a truly unfortunate haircut. So now my plan is to use this meeting as a springboard to future meetings where I'll explain individual components of the enforcement procedure, and then hopefully at the end knit them together so that you have a whole kind of a holistic perspective on what it is that we do. There's one aspect of enforcement that I think I'll repeat at every meeting, though, and that's because it's that important. Enforcement's role is primarily not punitive. We don't exist to punish. Rather, enforcement actions are primarily tools that we use to to help ensure respondents enter into compliance and remain that way. In the vast majority of cases, would prefer to offer respondents a reduced penalty in exchange for their remedial actions and for their future compliance. You'll see an example of this in our case summaries, and that provides me an excellent opportunity to segue into the report itself. As you can see on page 2 of this report, I apologize, I have a different version. You'll see a number of statistics about the number of cases that we've opened. As you can see, there's only been a few enforcement actions in the massage therapy program open since September of 2018. And there's only been one agreed order, which I'll get into in just a moment. You get these one $350 penalty. Obviously, this number is going to increase as the more enforcement actions are resolved. But right now, that's why I don't have a ton of new information for you. But what I wanted to do was, turning to the case summaries, I wanted to immediately contradict myself, if I may, because I was saying that our goal isn't punitive. That's mostly accurate. There are certain instances where we have the statutory mandate to pursue revocations, and you'll see two of these examples in the case summaries. I won't go into too many of the details, but in both of the first two cases summarized, the individuals were convicted criminally of various actions, and due to the nature of the convictions, their licenses were revoked as of the date that they were convicted. Sometimes the date of the revocation doesn't catch up with the individual's activities until later. When we find out about it, we send them a letter and say, hey, not only is your license revoked, but it was actually revoked as of about a year ago. And that's just what statute requires. So most of the time we'll seek to bring respondents into compliance with certain types of criminal convictions. That's not an option for us. But the third of the three cases represents a settlement agreement, which is typically how we like to resolve our cases. A licensed respondent failed to provide written consultation documents, obviously a statutory, one of the requirements of our administrative rules. Instead of, pulling their license or levying a heavy fine on them, it was a nominal fine, bring them compliance, make sure they don't do they stay on the straight and narrow, and then hopefully we never hear from them again. And that's really how that's why we like our cases to be resolved. Feel like I'm leaving left out. but I also feel like I talked too long, so if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Yes, Russell Rust, have one question, please.
Sure.
In the previous, when we filed a complaint with Department of State Health Services, we actually got a response back that the complaint was received. I've filed several complaints, and I have not received any response back from TDLR that those complaints were actually received. Y'all's are a little different. You do an online file. Prior to that, I would fill out a paperwork and actually submit information why I think it's in violation, like an advertisement to something to that degree, but I would get a response back from Department of State Health Services that they did receive it. Didn't mean they did anything. Well, I would get the follow-up once they had investigated, but I did actually get something followed that said they did receive the complaint.
So it sounds like you're referring to, what you're wanting confirmation of is that your complaint was actually even received by us, like we have.
Well, I don't need to have it. I was just
yeah.
asking if that is a process that y'all do. If not, I wouldn't worry about it.
That is a good question. I strictly, my role is essentially prosecutorial. That by the time that the complaints reach me, they've been through several other divisions that have processed these. I think what you're talking about is definitely an aspect of enforcement, our intake division. I'm afraid I don't have a good answer for you, but I can find that out and get back to you.
There's one coming behind you.
Chris Rusty.
My name is Chris Rusty. I'm with the Enforcement Division as well. Procedurally, yes. As soon as a complaint is filed and we receive it, we will create an opening letter and send that to the complainant, assuming it wasn't filed anonymously. If it is filed anonymously, obviously there's no one to send it to, so you wouldn't receive it if you filed anonymously.
So just a question for Russell. So you haven't received such recognition?
Yes, and I don't file anonymously.
Okay.
So
we'll definitely look into that.
In that case, we definitely
I'll
will.
go back and check. I did a printout, but it's a little different format than it was prior. So it actually asked for our county and everything where we were filing from. So this one, you know, it's a possibility, but I would have put my name on there if there was a place for me to put my name.
Absolutely. We can get with you after the meeting, and I'll check into each one of those complaints.
Thank
We
you
can
so
get
much.
an answer.
Thank you.
In my experience, I've just recently filed a complaint, and they did write me back and affirm that they had gotten it, but I haven't received, like, if there was any action taken. And I just actually got a call from the guy the other day. He was going in to investigate.
Oh, okay. Yes, so upon closing, you will receive something.
The quarterly letters are issued to complainants and respondents in our cases. So about every 90 days, a kind of automated form letter is sent out, essentially saying, yes, your case remains active with us. We're continuing to look into it. Not much information is provided beyond that, but there is some sort of mechanism for alerting you that, yeah, your case is live.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think the haircut is excellent.
The haircut's excellent.
All right. Now, let's go from the Field Operations Division, please.
Good afternoon. Hi, my name is Tanya Guthrow. I'm the director of what is, due to the recalibration, now going to be called Field Inspections. So I like the change in our name because it's much more reflective of what we actually do. I was always having to explain field operations means inspections. So on our report, we start out with recent accomplishments and current projects. I'd like to acknowledge our East Region staff. They have, throughout the months since Hurricane Harvey, done a lot to reach out as part of other agency initiatives, but they've been a big part of the agency's efforts to reach out to all the different licensees who may have been affected during the hurricane. And most recently in December, they went into different events in Houston as well as surrounding areas and actually reached out to over 1,000 licensees to provide information and just help people who may be needing to check into licensed licensed contractors or people who are licensed with TDLRs, as well as to provide them information on how to navigate the agency's website, to, if they were licensees, how to get any of the benefits the agency was offering to our licensees. In addition, I want to mention Cam Tu Tran, who's our East Region manager, and she often goes on Vietnamese radio and TV and shares information about licensing requirements and different information that the agency needs to get out. And so she, of course, did that again in December. So with the recalibration, as Ray pointed out, we are very excited to have the 5 school inspectors who had been under the Exams and Education Division be transferred to be under field inspections. In addition, we are also getting the benefit of Marco Rodriguez, who is in the back here, and he has done already a lot of work on the school inspection program for massage therapy. And as Ray's mentioned out, they are already performing pre-license inspections to ensure that folks are not held up and able to get to work and start, training people to be massage therapists. I'd also like to mention Fernando Reyes, who's in the back. He, along with a lot of the rest of the field inspection staff, have been working to implement the establishment inspection process. And we have a work group meeting tentatively set up for next week to go over with the licensing work group who works on the inspections, the inspection checklist. When the inspectors arrive at any facility, a school or an establishment, they will use a reference guide to go through and check all of the different requirements. And if they find any violations, they will note those on what we call a proof of inspection form. They're going to leave a copy with the establishment and go over those violations with them. But in order for us to do that properly, we like to start out when there's a new program going out and practicing. You will see in the next item here, there's a list of all the different mock inspections that our folks have been going out and performing. This enables them to test out the reference guide as best we can, collect questions, and of course, like I said, the next step in this process is us meeting with the work group and going through that reference guide and making sure we're all on the same page so that the licensees, schools, or establishment are prepared for those periodic inspections as they come due. We also have been able to hire 2 additional inspectors, Camalisha Spencer and Ron Gerke. They're both in the DFW area. We had thought we would hire an inspector, another one. We have an open position in Collin County, but we may have to review where our additional inspectors who are moving to us are located, and so we may be hiring in a different area of the state. The posting should go up pretty soon, though. So, does anybody have any questions about inspections at this time?
I have one. So will the forms that you'll generally be using be seeable by the schools and establishments before they're inspected?
Yes. Once we finalize the reference guides for the establishments and for the schools, we'll post them online. It really is just a list of all of the laws and rules and the potential things that we need to look at. And so that will always be available for anyone to see.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Got a question?
Yes, sir.
Will you be checking illicit massage parlors and licensed massage parlors for the inspections?
We are charged with performing either the pre-license or the periodic inspections for licensed massage establishments and schools. So if we will still go out to a facility if the license is expired. We keep them on our list up to 18 months after expiration because it could be that they're still doing business but they failed to renew. But we don't go out as the inspectors to unlicensed facilities. That would be something that enforcement would do. Let's make a distinction. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just kind of ping off of Tanya here a little bit. When we get the inspection program in place, it's going to change the way and the face of how this industry operates. Historically, there has not been a regular or periodic inspection taking place on our folks that are licensed, or even the ones that are illicit or that are not licensed. This is going to change that dynamic. When you look at the cosmetology program, the barbering program, the towing program, the vehicle storage facility program, they all have an inspection component, and that is a big driver to the number of cases that are actually filed with our enforcement division. We are identifying that unlicensed activity, not just of the facility, but of the individuals working there. So we're discovering more because our eyes are in that shop. And so part of the process that Tanya and her team is undertaking is trying to work through the kinks of how to do that inspection. You're going to hear us say, we don't know the industry, and we're learning it as we go forward. And that's where the mock inspections come in, that we're learning how to navigate the ins and outs of the facilities and what we can expect to see. Chris, we were fortunate to have him come on board with us from the Department of State Health Services, so he has a very strong background in doing these inspections over there and those investigations primarily. But it is a learning process, and so the first thing we want to do is figure out what we are doing, get the feedback of the advisory board and those work group sessions, then get the information out there, as you said, Mr. Chairman, for the industry to see. We don't want it to be a surprise. And what we've done in the past is that the first round of inspections, there's a free look except for on certain things. You get no free look for being unlicensed. You get no free look for having people that are unlicensed. But some of those minor technical things, we're like, everybody's learning the process. So once this thing gets up and running, I'm going to be excited about what Tanya's folks are going to find. But I will tell you that in the admission of me making a mistake, a judgment error early on, when the Senate Bill 202 was first introduced to come to us, we evaluated the total number of disciplinary actions for all 13 of the programs. All 13 of the programs were considered, and it was 62 disciplinary actions. I'm competitive, so I'm like, oh man, that ain't nothing but 30 minutes of TDLR. 62. Oh, we can do that in a heartbeat. Well, not knowing what we didn't know, that there weren't inspections going on, that we're going to find a whole lot more in this industry, but I think we're going to be able to allow those folks who are doing it right, that are doing it honorably, to know that we're putting an eye on those folks who aren't, that are bringing a little bit of a smudge mark to the industry. So,
thank you. Russell Rust, I have a follow-up to that, and this may be down the road or you cannot answer it now. From what I just heard there, that a place that's offering massage that's not licensed, there's no chance that y'all will ever go in there. Is that meaning only if somebody files a complaint that you're going to go into a place that has massage everywhere? But because they're not licensed, that wouldn't be on your list to go in there? And
you nailed it right there. It's not licensed, so it's on nobody's list right now. But we will be driving, we will, excuse me, just from the, just those folks. We will be driving that from the enforcement side. I've noticed something in the short 4 months that the program has been with us, that massage therapists and owners are not shy about filing complaints about stops. So we'll get those through the enforcement process. But, I mean, you nailed it. You don't know who's unlicensed because they're unlicensed. There's a reason why they're not on our list. So they will not have a periodic inspection. They won't have that. But we will inspect them as those complaints come to our attention.
Okay,
and
so if we file the complaint, which we can take care of that because we know who's operating unlicensed.
Absolutely. Yeah,
so
that's
will
going to
be
go
the only process that will get y'all in the door of that place.
Absolutely not. And again, you've got that awesome technique of just narrowing it down to one thing. That's not the only door, but it's going to be the most prominent door for an unlicensed facility to have a complaint. Tanya's folks are still going to be able to see, I'm doing the inspection on building 1. Oh, wow, that sign next to me says massage on it. Let me check this out. We have that ability to do it there. It's just not going to be a standard periodic inspection.
Thank you.
That's what we do.
Yeah. Okay. We also hear a lot of, when we're there, people have a lot to say about people down the street. So it's really good to be, boots on the ground, out in the field, and we can gather a lot of information. Yeah.
Another question I have. Do y'all proactively go out there and check the websites like rubmaps.com and all these other, like backpage.com?
Well, I will say that as part of us preparing for inspections right now, even with the folks who are currently licensed, we are going ahead and checking prior to going out there because there haven't been ongoing inspections, and there are folks who currently hold a license who may be using those websites, and we want to be prepared for that when we go out there. But we are really focusing on what we're required to do here. However, just the same as Brian said with people who potentially could file a complaint, you can always get that information to enforcement, and they may have other activities that they'll do in the future.
And we, Brian Francis, another thing to keep in mind as we get more mature in this program, and that's something that we're going to keep in reminding you guys that it's only been 4 months. I know it feels like 100 years, but it's only been 4 months. But as we get the inspection program up, we want that to be up and running. But we also have the ability, like we've done in other programs, to do sweeps and stings and to check those. So, for example, in our electrician program, we will go through the green sheets and those things to identify people who are advertising themselves as doing electrical work, and then we will set up a house or a commercial facility in that area. We will have those things at some point. It will not be the first thing that we do. The first thing is to build our knowledge and understanding of how we're going to do inspections, because we need to know what we're doing before we start doing other things.
Thank you.
Okay.
Tony,
Yes,
just
sir.
one question. So if a person calls themselves a massage parlor, then if they're using the massage, then they would technically need to be in a massage establishment, right? Whether they're calling themselves a parlor or establishment or whatever. If they're using the word massage, you guys can
It's definitely
go
going to
ahead.
give us an opportunity to go
Yeah.
check them out.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Great job.
All right. And now for the compliance division.
Hi, I'm Yvonne Feinleib with the Compliance Division, and it's nice to see all of you again.
Hello, Yvonne.
So you have the report in your packet. It had 3 items on it: an update on our activities, a little information about public outreach, and then an update for our section in that our medical and health profession staff are doing some work with the Phase 2 programs, not just with massage, but with all the other programs, and we're all helping out and supporting each other in that work. There are a couple of other agenda items that are not on my report. There's an overview of the Compliance Division, which I think most of you have already gotten, but if you have not, just to let you know that we provide a lot of expertise and cross-communication for the different programs. But we talk to licensing, we talk to field ops, we talk to enforcement, we talk to E&E, and we work with work groups to help make sure that anything that would be in the standard of care gets discussed separately from all those functional areas. And actually, you've heard about this calibration, our area compliance is actually being renamed Regulatory Program Management. Not that we're going to manage everything, all the areas are still going to do their thing, but we're going to be talking, a little bit more clearly about the fact that we have this role to consult and help, and sometimes we provide expertise, sometimes we just facilitate some conversations, okay? And that is the initial RPM. So we're looking forward to that. That's March 1st. So part of this calibration, which you see also on your agenda, update on the upcoming organizational calibration, is that I am not going to be the primary person for massage anymore. There are 2 people who are going to be primary, and I'm going to be supporting them. Their names are Elizabeth Perez and Marinella LaFleur, and Elizabeth is actually called BB. And they already came to our work group. So they're very interested to learn. I was really pleased to meet them. They arrived with a binder with the law and rules. So that was like a big deal for me, because that's really important when you're working with this. You need to start where you are. So I just want to let you know I'm not gone. I'm still available to you, but I'm not going to be the primary person. Okay? Well, don't worry, okay? We're all TDLR. We're all still here, right? We have to move people around. We have a lot going on right now. We have strategic planning coming up. We have all kinds of things coming up. So the fact that we're moving our resources around doesn't mean that we're not still all here for you. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And it's early days. Who knows what's going to happen after the next session, right? Okay, so with that exciting and happy thought, I did want to let you know one other thing. When licensing was talking about that transcript evaluation form, that's a draft that I prepared to help them. It is not me driving any kind of a change. Licensing is looking at a way to give schools more ability to accept transfer students. Like if you've come, and this was discussed at a previous meeting, if you've come out of a university and you've got A&P on your transcript, why does that person have to jump through TDLR? You guys know what A&P looks like. So it's designed not to put more work onto the schools, but to facilitate an easier process of accepting transfer students. I was helping draft it. It's not finalized. It's going to be a licensing form when it's done. So you guys will hear more about that and see more about that. I just want to make it clear it's not me just trying to make you do something, okay?
Russ, one follow-up to that
Sure.
while you're on it. So are you going to give us what a breakdown of a college credit is based on the number of hours that we're required to teach?
What we have done in the past is 12 for a quarter hour and 15 for a semester hour. I don't know that that will necessarily have to be the only standard for schools that are producing a document that includes their own list of how many hours. Some schools are very good at making that clear, and some schools, you know, especially if they went to school a long time ago, you're going to have some generic formula because nobody at that college will be able to tell you what those hours looked like 20 years ago. But that will be something you can work through with licensing, and I mean, I agree that it's worth looking at. Okay?
Yes.
All right, so for the actual report, I got to go on a mock inspection of an establishment, and the inspectors were really great, and they had a lot of experience doing other kinds of inspections, but they were learning about a massage therapy establishment, and that was really interesting to listen to the learning process on both sides. And I think when you find that the field ops folks, the field inspections division people come out, I think you're going to find that they're really easy to work with, very experienced, very competent, and interesting to talk to. I really liked listening to that mock inspection as it proceeded. We did have one standard of care work group, and you'll hear a little bit about that. I think David's going to just kind of summarize. Elizabeth and Marinella will be coordinating that in the future, and I will be available. I tend to show up at all kinds of different work groups, even if they're not the compliance work groups, so you may see me again at some of them if I'm invited. And I've been helping with licensing because they got a little bit backlogged on applications, so I've been working 8 hours a week over there doing applications because I did them so much at DSHS, I'm pretty fast with them. So hopefully we're getting caught up and getting things out the door quickly. So, and I'm always happy to help with anything. Let's see what else. Okay, I'm not sure who's going to speak at AMTA at this point. We'll figure that out and we'll show up. Somebody will show up. Many people may show up, who knows. And then our continuing transition work, I mean, I think you'll expect to see that for a little while from our regulatory program management, that as the programs settle in, new issues come up. As we learn more, we need to talk about things and work through things. And so we're going to be in transition for a little bit yet.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. We'd like to have a report from the executive office now.
Mr. Chairman, board members, I'm Brian Francis, Executive Director with TDLR. I want to extend a warm welcome to our newest member, Sergeant Grassi.
Yes, yes.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. You won't need to bring your bodyguard anymore. You're going to be fine. You're going to be absolutely fine here.
He's the peace officer. Now, we have on the advisory board, among other things, there's a peace officer, and that is Mr. Gracia. Welcome.
Thank you.
You know, I was looking at it, and it looked like, you know, it looked like a Morris Day and Jerome type thing there. Is that what I heard? Is that correct? All right, I like that. That's a great one. That's a great one. So the first thing I want to start off with is thanking everyone for attending. It means a lot. I'm thrilled that there's so much participation. Keep coming. Keep bringing your comments. It's only going to sharpen us and allow us to be smarter in this process. The stuff that you're asking for to change, some of it we can change in a minute. Some of it we're not going to change, even if you use the word immediately 20 times, Ro. It's not going to change immediately. But it's on our radar, and we know it. And we know that there has to be something looked at in terms of Embleton. We get that part, and we're going to keep moving forward, but keep us honest. Keep pushing us in that direction. I think it's important to hear that. I thought it was an interesting comment earlier about the having the massage therapy license and then having to have the massage therapy instructor license. We came across that with the cosmetology program when it first came over. You had 2 separate licenses, and people had 2 separate renewal dates. And we were able to work with the legislature to combine that, and so that the instructor's scope of practice allowed them to practice as a massage therapist as well as an instructor. So to be an instructor, you have to be a massage therapist, but once you become one, you can do that. So that's something that we think would be advisable. As we go into our strategic planning process, which will be coming up in April, bring those comments to us, those that have a rule-making change, one that's statutory change, or whether it's a process or just a field change. Keep those comments coming, because they really are going to allow us to be a lot smarter as we move forward in this process. I do want to touch on the exam. It seems to be a point of passion for a lot of folks, and we are not dismissing that. We hear it, and it's one of the first things that I understood when I came back to the office the first time I met with massage groups. They were like, Embleton. I'm like, I get it. And I came back and told my executive assistant, I think this is something I'm going to have to know about as we move forward. The commitment that I made then, that we will make now, is we're going to look into it. And the language does modify it to where it makes the Embleton legal, but it also allows us to have multiple examinations. I think one of the presenters said, I think it was Colette, said that California accepts 4 examinations. There's nothing wrong with that. That's something we can look into, and it's something we're going to look into. But there is no quick fix to developing a state examination today. It takes a process, and so that's not the first thing on our agenda. Our first thing, and as we told you guys before, was we're going to issue your license. It was more important that you could renew your license than you couldn't. It's more important that we can get new people licenses than they can't. And then the other things will fall in place, as what we did with the Phase 1 and Department of State Health Services programs. We got people over, we got them licensed, we started learning the process, and then the work groups and then the advisory board started moving more into the heavy lifting, which is scope of practice. That's the same process we're going to run here. We're not going to skip to number 25 and mess up on number 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. We have to be deliberate and be smart in the way we move forward with this. So it's an issue, and hopefully you guys will continue to bring it up at the strategic planning process, bring it up on the emails, make sure that it's in front of it and something that we can talk about and move forward with in a deliberate but intelligent way. The other things I want to touch on, Mr. Chairman, very quickly, again, strategic planning is something that we take seriously. I think the industry was able to participate the last time around, but you were participating kind of as spectators on the end. Well, now you're inside, and you're going to be able to answer those questions of what we do well, what can we do better if you're king or queen for a day. What's one change you would make in a rule, a statute, or a process? That's going to be a great opportunity for you to share that information with us. We're going to go around to several cities. We're also going to have the option where people can do it online and submit their information electronically to us. Our whole thing is we just want the feedback. We want to get as much data as possible. The comments that are being received, we're going to share that with the industry, and we're not going to hide it and hoard it. We're going to put it on the webpage so everyone can say, oh, this is what they said in Tyler, and this is what they said in Houston. So everyone has, access and an opportunity to review that data. Then we'll come back to the advisory board and say, hey, man, this is some stuff we probably need to talk about, or this is statutory. There's nothing we can do about it at this time. It's going to take the legislative session to move forward with that. That's just the process and how it goes. I'm excited about it, though. We ran into some challenges in the last month and a half. There was a whole lot of stuff coming in. The system that helped us get the programs coming over, Versa, also had some great stuff by helping us get it up and running, but also had some challenges because it's extremely manual. And those are things we had not run into before when consolidating programs. So we dropped the ball on a couple of applications and processes, and I'm just proud of the staff, whether it's licensing, customer service, our RPM group, education and examination. Everybody pitched in. When I say they pitched in, there were people up here working on Saturdays, making sure that applications got processed, emails got responded to. And that's how we're going to approach this as we continue to move forward and make sure that once we get this thing tight, it's going to look and feel exactly like we want at TDLR. You've heard a number of people come to the table and talk about the calibration. The way I described it is simply this. When Senate Bill 202 was introduced in 2014. That's when the conversations first started. We had the ability to look at their data, look at their strategic plan, and look at the statute. Literally, we were standing 50,000 feet up and saying, this is how we would do that program if it came to us, not at ground level. When the programs were transferred, we had an opportunity to sit in the seats with the folks and help process applications. We still didn't have a perfect view of how the work looks. But now that it's here, in our house, we see it firsthand. And the calibration just simply said, now that we know that those systems look this way, that the paper flows this way, we need to recalibrate and align our resources to where the work's at. We got new work in the house, and now we know exactly where the bottlenecks are. Let's put our people there to address it. That's what the calibration does. Yvonne is incredibly knowledgeable of the massage program. She's always going to have a hand in that, and a hand in shaping and helping BB and Marinelle. Y'all raise your hand to the people. BB and Marinelle, helping them understand the program. But they're not novices. I mean, they came over from the cosmetology and barbering programs. They've been running those for years, so they have a really good handle on how to make those programs work. And with Yvonne's knowledge and their experience, we're going to have something great. We're going to have something great, and that's at the end of the day, that's what we want for our programs moving forward. I like to think that the massage therapy program will benefit from every mistake we ever made with the cosmetology program. That everything we ever fumbled on and messed up on, you guys are starting ahead of that curve, and that's a great thing. It may not be at the speed of light that folks want, but we're smarter because of the mistakes we made in that program, and that's going to accrue to each of you as we move forward in this process. Mr. Chairman, anything else I need to add? You sure? Okay, because she usually corrects me when I drop something. So, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Francis. That was very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. So,
Mr. Chairman, do you want to take a little break because I got long-winded before we jump into the rules, or?
Oh, that might be healthy. Let's do till 1:45, shall we say? Let's reconvene at 2:45. I just want to say that I was told in the beginning to recognize dignitaries and important people in the field, and of course we've since recognized Mr. Garcia. I want to say John Conway, who's been involved in massage in Texas since the very beginning, is sitting right over there. John Conway. Welcome, John. No, but he is a year older than me. All right. We'd like to have the next report be from Colleen Tran. Thank you very much.
I'm Colleen Tran, Assistant General Counsel. Good afternoon, board members, Mr. Chair. We're going to go through the rule comments. At our last meeting, we went through the rules and the changes, the statutory changes that were required, and they sat out for public comment for 30 days, and we got 7 comments total, and those comments are in your packet. They begin, I know what page they begin on.
Yeah. Looks like page
15?
15, 16, yeah.
Page 15 is where your first comment is. And you'll also notice that's going to be on your devices. In front of you, I've prepared a chart. So when I go through the rules and the comments, each comment basically gets a box unless there are multiple comments. And then I will do a kind of basic topic if there's a statutory or rule reference. And then there is a comment summary, and then the official department response to that.
Yes. It's all the way down. Is that the first one? Right there.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. So I'm just going to go through, and then the paper copy that you have is the chart that I've worked on for you guys to follow along. So the first comment that we received wanted to know about how they could study for their massage instructor exam. This comment was not about any of the proposed rules. And when comments like that come in, our rules coordinator will automatically forward them to where they need to be. So this one either went to E&E or licensing to contact that person so that they can get on track if they wanted to do their massage instructor license. The next comment is on your, if you scroll up to page 16. This commenter wanted to let us know that their information about their license was not populating on our website correctly. They also sent some documentation with it. Again, this comment was not about the rules. It was forwarded to the correct division to address the way that it was coming up on our website. The third comment is going to be on your devices on page 20. This commenter would like to know how the process is going to be different for criminal background checks. Criminal background checks has actually been in statute since 2005, and DSHS was already conducting them. They just weren't placed in rules, and so we were just catching our rules up with what statute already says. So there is not a new process. It's already occurring. It's actually a rather old process. The fourth commenter, it's on page 21 on your devices. This person was a licensed massage therapist in Texas. They have moved and they would like to come back to Texas, and they wanted to know how to reinstate their license. This comment was forwarded on to licensing so that it could be addressed. It was not about the rules, so there were no changes. The next comment on page 22 on your device. This person wanted to know about what this person would like the criminal conviction guidelines in the law to be more clear. They did not specifically understand what 5th anniversary meant. Now again, section 455152 is codified in our rules, and it does say 5th anniversary, and in our explanation we do say from the 5th year from the anniversary of their conviction. So we did clarify that for them in the response. And it wasn't about any other particular rule proposals. There were no changes made to the rules. The sixth commenter, beginning on your device, page 24. This commenter would like to see instructors' skill levels increased. They don't believe that there's enough training, and 1 year is not enough as a massage therapist for you to be a massage instructor, is their thought. They also would like to see entrance exams given to students before they're enrolled in schools to ensure that they can learn the curriculum, and they express their support for Emblex. None of those comments were directly about any of our rule proposals, and that one was forwarded on to the appropriate division to take a look at and discuss as far as instructor qualifications and student exams. The final commenter, it's on page 26 of your device in your report, and this commenter would like to see the following terms removed from the definition of massage therapist: masseur, masseuse, body massager, and body rubber. Again, those definitions are statutory. We cannot remove them from our rule. That's the statute, and it has to be changed through the statute. And we outlined that in our response, and it was not about a particular rule change, and so no changes were made to the rules in response to those. And those were all the comments that we received for the proposed rule changes. And I would ask that we recommend and take a vote that they be placed before the commission for adoption.
Let's see if there's any comment,
Any comment?
from the advisory board. And
I'm sorry,
Colleen,
y'all
you
could have
did-
stopped me. I apologize.
No, you did a great job, Colleen, and I think the chart really helps navigate a lot of the information very quickly. So you did a great job.
Yeah. Any questions?
Yes. My name is Susan Sparks. The last one, the definition of a massage therapist, I am in agreement with this LMT regarding, I don't know, body rubber, just, it doesn't sound good.
It sounds like we're going to get kicked off of YouTube again.
Exactly.
Like the first time we had a
I
meeting
don't
here.
know, masseuse, body massager, body rubber.
My suggestion would be to use our strategic planning process. That would be, in our strategic planning process, one of the questions is, what is a rule or law that you would like to see changed?
Okay.
And that is actually one of the most perfect places to voice that concern, because then it's in our books, in our strategic plan, and something that, is voiced for the legislature at some point to hear.
And I think it's important, just kind of building on it, Brian Francis, it really helps when those type of comments are made and the concerns you're raising, when there's context. I think saying, oh, these words should be removed from the definition, and by the way, here's the definition that 20 other states have, and they don't include it. It just gives a lot of context to, we're not trying to be the Lone Star State. We're trying to either bring our thing properly in line or move away from things that made us a Lone Star State.
Carol Willis, just for clarification, could you just state the first possible date in the future that we might be able to see a change like that?
For strategic planning or for statutory?
Yeah, for statutory.
So statutory changes would have to go through the legislature. The legislature meets every odd numbered year, so it won't meet until 2019, and they meet the second Tuesday is when they begin. And then it'll go for 140 days. We, as an agency, are not allowed to lobby, so changes most likely would have to come from the associations, individuals, grassroots types efforts. But we can offer guidance to legislators if they would like to move in that direction. Those types of bill filing, so getting an actual change in a bill done, begins in November after election. I can't remember the exact day after election. But there's a timed number, and so you can begin filing bills. Last day to file bills is in March, and it will move through legislative process that way.
And Brian Francis, I'll just add to that, this last cycle for strategic planning, which was every even year. So when we went through it in 2016, we turned in our report approximately in August, and that had a list of nearly 58 strategic initiatives, and 56 of those were passed. The rules that you're working on were the result of that strategic planning process. So it does work. We're able to provide a list to the legislature. We're able to share with them some of the key changes that folks think should be made in the statutes and present that to them. So, we can't overemphasize how important the strategic planning process is to start the dialogue, to help us understand it. You may know exactly what it means. We've got to have a pretty good idea of what it means to and how it can be accomplished and crafted in such a way. So,
Can I have a question? How does that strategic planning process proceed? Is it, it's, of course, TDLR staff, is also the board meeting at that time? And is there public input at that time? Or how does that work? I'm not familiar with it.
It's going to be all of the above. Imagine that, again, that all those are avenues for input. We go out of our way to make sure that it's maximized. So in the month of April, we'll hold about 5 or 6 sessions around the state. And on those days, there will be at least 6 opportunities for people to come out and say, here's what I think you should do. During that same time period, we will offer the opportunity for people to tell us what they're thinking via our Facebook page and a survey. Do it through a Survey Monkey, whether it's on our listserv, to get that feedback. And as we hold advisory board meetings over the summer, when we're getting that data back, we will have a section on your agenda which says, here's what we heard out there. What do you guys think about it? So it's to have all those layers of people being able to plug in and really, really just tell us what's going on, what they think.
Yeah, thank you for your answer.
And every one of those comments are read. I know, because we charted them. Every single one of them.
Everyone.
Every one of them.
All right. I don't know whether to envy you or thank you or feel sorry for you. I don't know.
Any more questions on
All
the
right.
proposal?
So if there's no objection, can we adopt the rules then as specified by Ms. Tran? Any objection to that?
Nope.
Okay, let's consider them.
Make the
as
motion,
adopted.
we adopt the rules.
Thank you.
Second.
Second.
Russell Rust.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Yes, thank you.
Colleen, thank you. Great job.
Yeah. Let me say, you may be aware or not that one thing that the advisory, some members of the advisory board does is that work groups are formed. And there's a variety of contexts. There's the, let's see,
You have licensing, enforcement, standard of care, and education examination.
And education examination. So there's 4 work groups. There's 4 members on each work group. We vary who's on what. And they meet periodically. So far, most of the work groups have not yet met, but I was in a work group where we had the standard of care work group, and a few things were brought up. Only one thing issued into an FAQ, which is there was some question about therapy specializations. It was reminded through this FAQ that people are, that the rules and the law specify that a person must be trained in a certain specialization in order to practice it. These aren't specified, though, individually, since we'd have to list, 100 different things that they might do. So it just says that it is, the person must obey the law and the rules, and if they're practicing a specialization, they must be competent to provide that service. So just to clarify that, it's general, but it's helpful. And that really was the work that was done. Other things are being discussed, but no other decisions were made. And
do you want the list? Is that what you're looking for?
the list. Well, I don't. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, we have the enforcement, licensing, education and examination, and standard of care work groups. So there are those 4. I don't know that we need to mention who the members are. I think that'd be fine. So, thanks a lot. All right. And then 2 more items on the agenda. One is to have a recommendation for agenda items for the next board meeting. Are there any such recommendations already in place?
Chairman Brian Francis.
Brian?
We know that we'll have staff reports that will be included on there. We'll also provide an update on the status of the rules so that they've gone to the commission, whether they're adopted or not, and put in place. We'll also provide information regarding strategic planning updates. So that'll be a pretty extensive presentation on how many sessions were conducted, how many folks attended, the comments and the different themes that were generated from that. It'll be a really good discussion opportunity from that. And that's all I have on our end.
All right. Well, that sounds great. Now, we should have a discussion of the date and time and location for the next board meeting.
Mr. Chairman, Mary Winston, TDLR.
Oh, Mary.
I'm just, this kills my husband, but I can listen to like 3 conversations at once and tell you what they said. So I'm listening to some of the audience members, and they said, what about the work groups? That is something else. The work groups will continue to meet or have their first meeting for those who have not met, and any updates will be included as an agenda item at that time as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Sure.
Also, we're looking at next possible dates, Monday, July 16th, or Tuesday, July 17th. This would be after strategic planning, when we've been able to accumulate all of the dates and comments. And we can bring that back to you, as well as allowing time for the work groups to meet.
Well, Mary, my son, wife, and mother-in-law are all born on July 16th.
Wow.
So
Good dates.
God says, don't work on July 16th.
You cannot.
That makes perfect sense.
If it's all
like
right.
having a meeting on your anniversary or something.
I'm telling you, the 3 birthdays, that's a fiat from on high. So, could we, 17th work for people?
Does here.
Does here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We have the 11th and the 12th if you're going to be.
Does it?
I'm okay. 17th is all right. Just 16th is, can't be.
So it's July.
Wait a second.
The birthday,
Wait a
I'll be
second.
accepting presents for all of them. No, that's
We'll
July
let you decide real quick.
17th.
17th sounds good? Okay.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you.
Start time, 1 o'clock again? Does that work for everyone?
Thank you, yes.
We're having one more member check their valet's calendar.
I drive.
You're okay.
Oh, thanks.
We're
I'm
good.
okay.
Outstanding.
I think we are still, one public member is not yet chosen.
correct.
So
That's correct.
once we have that, in addition to Mr. Garcia, then we'll have a complete board. I don't know how they organize that. It's up to them.
Those announcements are still out there.
Okay, great.
So we'd love to get some more applicants for the public members.
All right, great. So that said, thank you all so much for coming and for helping us do a good job and give us feedback and feedback to TDLR. And we really appreciate it all. Thank you all so much. I'll call the meeting adjourned if there are no objections.
Make a motion.
Oh, make a motion to adjourn.
I'll
Sorry.
second it.
Antonio seconds it. Consider the meeting adjourned. Thank you all so much.
Oh, we did it again.